100%, 1000%, 1,000,000%, I would do these locks again to be proud of my God-given hair straight from the root. I can't even, being a black, dark-skinned, plus-size woman with locks in the corporate world, that's a whole thing on its own. I remember being that little dark-skinned girl, feeling like black hair wasn't beautiful. I was so caught up because my hair never really got past here. Anytime I had to do a little trim, you would have thought if I took a centimeter off that somebody would have shot me. I didn't want to let go, even though it was dry and crispy at the end and all that. And so now to have hair that is, y'all see that? See that? See the bum bump right there? Hello, my beautiful, beautiful queens. It's been a minute since we've had like this, right? Like, you know, the opportunity to kind of sit down and chat. I have a bunch of you who have had like some questions, so I'm absolutely going to get through that today. But before I do, I want to ask you guys a question. Okay, here we go. Do you want to know more? Right? Like, so this channel has, you know, predominantly been about locks and hair care and, you know, tutorials and tips and things like that. But do you want to know more? One of the things that, you know, I've been thinking about this channel and I'm like, are there more? I know there are more women like me who are, you know, in a professional role, trying to figure things out, trying to manage the family, the home, the career, and, you know, potentially trying to level up in certain areas. And, you know, even being a black, dark-skinned, plus-size woman with locks in the corporate world, that's a whole thing on its own, right? Like, and so I guess my question is to you is that, like, do you guys want to know about that stuff, right? Do you want me to kind of talk about that? Because that's kind of why I haven't been around for a minute, is because there's been so many other things happening that I haven't had a chance to really just, you know, just focus on the locks and things like that, right? So that would be my question to you. Like, do you want to expand this channel? Do you want to hear about, you know, being a black professional woman in, you know, the corporate world? Do you want to hear about some of the things that are going on the side? We've got an income property and there's a whole slew of stuff happening there. We're learning so much as we go through this process. And then about like the financial implications and things like that, that like, I wonder if you guys could learn from, because I know my experience in my locks and like growing from like literally start to finish, shaving my head, all of that is information that you guys seem to really enjoy. But in terms of like the career aspect, the life aspect, even the relationship aspect, like, do you guys want to talk about that, right? And if you do, if you could just put it in the comments. If not, that's okay too. We can continue to talk about locks, and there's so much obviously that, you know, goes into our sister locks, our micro locks, all of the different locks. So we can absolutely do that. But I'd love to know if you want more, right? If you want, you know, to dig in a little bit. I'm on this kind of journey right now to level up, right? Finances, relationships, career, hair, overall look and appearance, like all of it. So do you want to go on that journey with me is my question. So let's go to the questions that you guys had for me. Okay. So NAMAD7674 asked, by any chance, have you seen a dermatologist to see if you have psoriasis of the scalp or versus dandruff, right? And so for those of you who are new to this channel, welcome, by the way. But for those of you who maybe didn't get a chance to watch this video, but I'll put it up here. I had and have been struggling with excessive dandruff and also like my locks falling out, like literally out, like, whoop, there it is, right? And so I talked about that in a previous video. I'll post it up here for you guys. But then I also talked about my wash routine. I was changing my wash routine to try and combat some of this. But I had mentioned that I was going to request to see a dermatologist. Dermatologists out here are hard. We're in Canada. I'm actually in like the Toronto, Ontario area. And like, I'm still waiting for a dermatologist. I have reached out to my my family doctor twice to re-inquire about like, you know, when am I gonna when's somebody gonna call me about my dermatologist appointment. So I am waiting to hear back. I still haven't heard anything. And in the meantime, I have been trying to figure this out, doing research and really trying to understand what is going on with my scalp. And then why my locks are falling, right? And so one of the things that I did, I think my locks started falling when I started using a certain product. I realized that when I dye my hair, so I did it back in January, I dyed with this one product, and then my hair started to like slowly started to like break off on the ends. Like maybe like a couple weeks later, and then it was like consistent. And then I didn't think about it, and I dyed it again, because right after I dyed and like washed everything out, my hair felt so good. It smelled good. It was amazing. But then I'm like, okay, everything else has stayed the same basically. What could this potentially be? And so I then dyed my hair again, I want to say in about April. Same thing happened. A few weeks later, the hair started dropping. So I dyed my hair with the same product maybe 3 weeks ago, before I got my last, maybe about a month now, before I got my last retype. And guess what's happening again? I'm seeing like the ends break off and that sort of thing. And I'm wondering if that, at least the breakage part, has something to do with the dye. The dandruff has been an issue for a while, but it's increased lately, and it could be because of a number of things like hormones changing, things like that. But the answer is yes, I am looking into it. I still haven't had my dermatologist appointment. But one of the things that I did do is I started a new hair regimen, and I'll post the video here. I did a wash day video that showed my new regimen and the new scalp and hair moisturizer that I actually made myself. And it's really made a difference, like hugely made a difference in the amount of dandruff that's coming off my scalp. The other thing is that I've increased my washing to like every 8 days. And that seems to be helping as well, because I was getting like the really, really bad dandruff and almost like scabbing, if you will. So that's kind of what I'm doing. And if you guys want me to do a video on what is in this, I can absolutely do that. But definitely it has been super, super duper helpful for the dandruff issue. At least for me. Somebody asked, how many locks do I have? 581 locks total. I have had to combine a few in the front. I think like 7 in the front or so over the past like 9 years. I also did a video on counting my locks. So please, if you want to go check it out, please do so. I'll put a link up here to it. Actually, no, I'll put a link down in the description below of all these videos that I'm talking about, so that you can go and check it out. Memin Habnees, I'm totally butchering that. Sorry, hun. So she asked, have you looked into knotted locks for to help with the locks that I've been losing? And actually, I haven't. I actually haven't even heard of knotted locks. But if you guys have heard of knotted locks, please tell me more about it. If you've tried it, if you know about it, tell me about it in the comments. And then I think I'll have to look into that and see what that's all about. But she says that it can be helpful in losing and thinning locks. Shout out to Deborah Wilson. So Deborah's like, she is so happy. In one of the last videos, we talked about like how expensive locks were and how you needed to be dedicated to them. And just that, like, just to know your Sisterlock game before you make that decision. Then she recently celebrated her Lock Independence Day, and she started with 10 inches and she paid $1,800, and that girl has no regrets. Literally, she said, I have no regrets. So shout out to her. That's awesome. Kyla Tripp, she had 2 questions. And the first question was, have your hair issues improved from the previous, which I just answered. And then she also asked, what do you think is essential for healthy sister locks? That's a great question. I think definitely retights on time. Retights are definitely the go-to. Depending on what stage your hair is at, of course, after kind of, that 1 year period or what have you, that you have to stay away from moisture or, a lot of water and that sort of thing. But I think like as you go on, definitely spritzing your hair is a helpful way to stay moisturized. I also think that when it comes to your locks, sometimes people they want to play up in their locks all the time and, doing like high ponytails. And what you'll notice for me is that for the most part, my hair, I do very simple styles. I don't, put a lot of stress on my edges. I try not to fuss too much with them. But I do tend to do like Bantu knot curls and things like that for styles. I would just recommend that when you're doing those styles, that you're not, again, stressing your hair and pulling too tight on the roots of your locks, because that can definitely impact it. Oh, someone else was like, when are you gonna do another fashion video? So like for work, like today, I'm literally coming home from work. For my job, for my profession, I do have to dress. You gotta dress it. You gotta dress it, right? So if that's something that you guys wanna see, like work fashions, plus size fashion, like one of the things that I've been teaching the twins is like doing a capsule wardrobe. And that's been really helpful. But like things like that, if you guys wanna hear more about that, absolutely. One of the things that you guys will note about me is I want to save money. I want to keep my pennies in my pocket where they belong, right? So when I go shopping, and I love clothes and I love fashion, when I go shopping and I look for stuff, I'm looking for how can I get an elevated look at a deflated price? I'll say it again. How can I get an elevated look at a deflated price? So if that's something you guys are interested in, please put in the comments. We can absolutely do more of that. Somebody asked me, so based on what's been going on with your hair and your sister locks, would you do it again? And the answer is 100%, 1000%, 1,000,000%. I would do these locks again. My only issue is that I didn't do them sooner. Even with all of the issues that I've been having as of late, I would 100% do it again. The freedom that this has brought me, the ability to be proud of my God-given hair straight from the root. I remember being a little girl, a little dark-skinned girl living in Waterloo, which is there is no, especially back in the 80s, there was no diversity there. Okay. It was one, us, my family and one other family. And that was it. And I remember being that little dark-skinned girl in that type of environment and looking at everybody and being oh, look at their hair. Oh my gosh, she's got hair. She's got hair. And feeling like black hair wasn't beautiful. And why did I have what I had? And over the course of the last 9 years, having my locks, there's this sense of empowerment and freedom and pride in this hair and in myself that I didn't have before. And part of that, especially as Black women, is that we are told that our hair is our crown. And it is. It truly is. But there's this different level when you know that you've grown it. It's like your baby, right? You've known that you have grown this hair literally from scratch. And y'all, if you watch some of my other videos, I clean shave my head off, right? I had my husband shave my head twice, right? And so now to have hair that is, y'all see that? You see that? You see the bum bump right there? Just above my waist, little Nya in the 80s, sitting there with her hair, crying about the fact that she didn't believe that her hair was beautiful or that she could, ever one day have long hair. Sisterlocks has completely changed any of those ideas, right? Like those ideas that because you're black, because you're, you know, you're not, you don't have anything, you know, in you, right? Means that you can't have beautiful, long, healthy hair. It's not a thing. It's not a thing. And I remember before as well, it was like, I was so caught up. It was like constantly like, oh my gosh, because my hair never really got past here. And so anytime I had to do a little trim, you would have thought if I took a centimeter off that somebody would have shot me straight in the heart, because I didn't want to let go of not even a centimeter of that hair, even though it was dry and crispy at the end and all that. Like, I didn't want to let that go. And so now with Sisterlocks, I'm like, I have to beg Simone. I have to beg Simone, my loctician, to trim my hair, right? She's like, no, let's just leave it. And I'm like, please, I want to cut my hair, right? Because it just grows. So absolutely, to answer your question, 100, 1,000, 1,000,000%, I would do this again. I just need to figure out what's happening with, you know, me now that's changed. And that's looking at products, looking at my care routine. It's all of those things. And so that's kind of where I am at my journey. And yeah, that's what's going on. Please make sure that you like, subscribe. I love doing these videos for you. I love connecting with you guys. I love how like the great comments and the feedback and the tips that you guys are even giving me. So please bring them on, because we are on this journey, whether you are locked or not. We are on this journey together. And guys, just remember, if there's anything, if you guys want me to kind of open up and talk about being a professional black woman, plus size fashion, if you want to talk about, you know, finances, especially now that we're getting into income properties and all of this other stuff, and how we level up, what we have to go through, even like things like the imposter syndrome that you get when you finally get to the place that you've been wanting to get to, but you're like, should I be here? This seat at the table, is it really mine? Those are the types of things that, you know, I would love to talk to you guys about, but I want to know, is that something that you want to hear? If you want to talk about those things, please put it in the comments.